when you become a resident of Spain, how long can you leave Spain for? 6 months? Not necessarily. It depends. On what? Stick around and you'll find out. You're very welcome to YouTooSpain. Theme tune! Let's dive straight in. If you want to remain a resident of Spain, there are rules about how many days you can be absent without jeopardising your residency status. What if I've got a job that takes me out of the country a lot? Well, the point of getting residency in Spain is that you want to make it your home, the place where you spend the most time. So before you commit to that, you should make sure that fits in with your lifestyle and your plans for the future. Fair enough. So generally speaking, you're expected to spend more than half of the year here. 6 months, I was right. But it does depend on your individual circumstances. So on this video, you'll get a guide to the basic variations, and you can ask questions about the more complicated details in the comments below the video. Is it really that complicated? For most people, it is quite easy, but when I was gathering the information to put this video together, I found that there were so many answers that demanded further questions and sent me down blind alleyways. It made creating a complete guide really quite difficult, and this video would have had to have been so long and mostly irrelevant to the majority of you. I see. Stick to the basics then. I will. First of all, it depends on what kind of residency you have and what passport you hold. So, everyone begins as what's called a temporary resident, but they can, after 5 years, become a permanent resident. Lovely! I can't wait! Now, let's look at the different groups of residents. First of all, if you're an EU citizen with temporary residency, you can be absent for up to 6 months per year. Is that per calendar year? No, it's calculated from your date of residency. That's the one that's on your green residency card. Okay, what if I'm a permanent resident? Then you can have up to 2 continuous years of full absence. Great. What's the next group? This one is UK citizens who became residents before Brexit and are protected by the withdrawal agreement. If that's you and you're still a temporary resident, you can also be absent for up to 6 months. But as a permanent resident, you can be away for up to 5 years of continuous absence. Wow, that's more than if you're an EU citizen. It is, but it's easier for an EU citizen to re-register as a resident if they've been away for too long. However, if you lost your residency as a beneficiary of the withdrawal agreement, you'd have to start again from scratch and get yourself a visa if you wanted to become a resident again. Just like third country nationals. Well, exactly. That's what UK citizens are since Brexit. So how long can you be absent if you move to Spain on a visa, like the non-lucrative visa? Now, this is where it gets a little more complicated. As a temporary resident, the rule used to be that you could only be absent for up to 6 months per year, but the law has changed recently, so now they can't remove your right to residency if you've been absent for over 6 months. So you can stay away as long as you like. Well, that's not really something you want to be planning on doing, mostly because you'll have difficulty becoming a permanent resident if you're away for too long. Why? To become a permanent resident when you're here on a visa, you can only be absent for a total of 10 months in the 5-year period of temporary residency. That's only 2 months per year then. On average, yes. I mean, you could stay a temporary resident for longer than 5 years if you don't fulfill the requirements to become permanent, but that would mean on the non-lucrative visa, for example, you'd still need to prove the financial requirements every 2 years and you'd still not be able to work. What about once you're a permanent resident? Then you can be absent for up to a year without losing your residency. Is that the same whatever visa you're on? It's the same for most of them. The golden visa, though, is a bit different because you only really need to spend 1 day in Spain each year to maintain it. But again, if you want to become a permanent resident after 5 years on the golden visa, you can only have been absent for 10 months in total, just like the other visas. Is there a long-term residency as well? Permanent residency is also called larga duración, or long-term residency, but don't get Spanish long-term residency mixed up with the EU's long-term residency. which allows you to move to a different EU country and work there. Can you apply for that one after 5 years as a temporary resident? You can, but it's a different and more difficult application process and can take longer to get. Right. Is that all of the basics then? Yes, that's quite enough for this video. Like I said at the start, there are lots of other details you might need to know for your circumstances. So if you have any questions, ask them in the comments. Like, how long can I be absent if I'm the spouse of an EU citizen? 6 months? Really? It depends. Oh, you and your it depends. It's the one rule you can be absolutely sure of. If you've learned something useful from this video, like me, do the usual likes and ticks and subscribes and stuff, and buy me a coffee using the QR code, or there's a super link in the video description. Don't forget there are lots of helpful links and special offers in the video description below and on our website. And whatever you do, check out some of the other really popular videos on YouTooSpain, and I'll see you there. Peace and love, peas and fluff, let's dance.